The opinions expressed on the Simone Edwards Show by our guests are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station, its owners, and or the Simone Edwards Show and those affiliated with it. In no event will the Simone Edwards Show, this station, its owners, guests, hosts, or affiliates be liable for the information disseminated on the program, including, without limitation, any loss or damage, indirect or otherwise, arising from information presented on the show. We trust you are of legal age and will consult appropriate professionals prior to employing any opinion expressed on the show. Many of the topics discussed are personal in nature, and some people may disagree with the opinions expressed on the show. We are open to your constructive criticism and or ideas for future radio programs. Please feel free to email us at the Simone Edwards Show at gmail.com. Again, that's the Simone Edwards Show at gmail.com. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the Simone Edwards Show. Man, I tell you, when it rains, it pours, but God is still good and on the throne. We had a complete and total snafu, and David, being as gracious as he is, went from one area of San Diego to the other area to get here to our studio. So the technical difficulty was definitely on our end. We thank you so much for your patience, and we appreciate you tuning in. We have here in studio, I want to present to some and introduce to others Mr. David Dredden of David Dredden and Undefeated.
Yo!
We are so excited to have you in studio. So before we jump off into the deep end and start talking about music and Undefeated and where you guys want to go in the future, let's just get to know you a little bit for those who think they know you, for those who know you, and for those who've never met you. So who's your hero?
My hero, I have a lot of them, but I would have to probably say that my mother is my hero. I know that sounds so typical. Everyone says, "Oh, my mother," but no, my mother really is my hero. She's always been just the epitome of hard work, the epitome of just perseverance. She's the epitome of not giving up, overcoming. Surviving. She's the epitome of it all. Like, you look in the dictionary and that's who you see, Gloria Graham. So she's really instilled some values in myself, my brother, and my sister. She used to always say, if I were to die, I'm speaking of herself, if I were to die, I want to know that when I leave this earth, my kids will know how to fend for themselves and take care of themselves. And I must say she's done a great job at doing that. And so I see a lot of the values that she's instilled in us. I see that, me trying to instill that in my kids and my sister and brother and their kids. And so she would have to, number one, out of all my heroes that I have, she'd probably be, besides Jesus, right. She'd be the top one.
That is incredible. From what I know of your mom, she is a pretty incredible woman, and I love her motivation to the legacy that she's leaving behind. Is I want to know that you all can take care of yourself, right. And you're not in a position where you're just helpless.
Right.
I love that. What motivates you to work hard? Because you are, for those of you who don't know, this is one hard working dude.
Many different things, I would say, motivate me, but in particular, just wanting to provide a better life for my family, for my wife, for my kids. They really motivate me to work hard. I want to give them, if I could, I'd give them the world. And so until I'm able to do that, I have to stay on my grind. So today was full of just grinding for my family.
Right.
I do it for my family at large, my relatives and all those different people, but in particularly my daughters, my girls that look up to me. They expect daddy to make it happen. My son expects daddy to make it happen. My wife expects me to make it happen. So, and they deserve it. They deserve it. And my wife, she never complains, never. She's never like literally, she's never one of them people who says I should have this, I should have that. She gets right in and gets her hands dirty right with me and works hard with me, and so that motivates me even more so to say, okay, I gotta go hard because she's a trooper. She's right here by my side, grinding it out with me, encouraging me, praying for me, all while dealing with her own things that she's got going on. And so,
wow.
That's what really motivates me to say, okay, look, I've got to set my family up to where this time, 5 years from now, we're good. We're good and self-sufficient. So.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And a huge shout out to Christian Dredden.
Yeah.
By the way, because the saying goes, if you see a great man, there is a greater woman behind him, right? A great woman behind him. And so he couldn't do the things that he does or be the person that he is without a loving and supportive wife. So, hey, Christian. To date, what is your proudest accomplishment?
Man, I guess to all these questions you're asking, there's not one answer.
Yeah.
It would probably be, I guess to date, it would probably be the Undefeated album.
Okay.
That was a monkey on our back for years. I mean, literally carrying that weight. Felt like we were carrying 100 pounds on our back, just trying to get this thing done. And finally, we got it done, and it wasn't just a cheesy album, but it was very lyrically sound, very musically sound, and we really put all of our blood, sweat, and tears into making this be the best possible album we could make it, and so we're really proud of the outcome. So I have to say that to date right now, at all the things,
Yeah.
besides kids, being a father, all those different things, it's finally completing the Undefeated album. I'm very proud of all the people who worked to help make this thing come to pass, because without them, we'd still be carrying this monkey on our back. So,
wow.
The Undefeated album for sure.
And so we're going to get into that album a little bit more and just the process and everything that went into that. But definitely congratulations to you on that. That was a huge success. And I'm sure a huge undertaking.
Oh, man. Gigantic.
Don't even know the half, right?
Ginormous.
Okay, so if money was no object, what would you do all day?
What would I do all day besides traveling to different countries and all those different things? I'd probably either speak on large stages.
Okay.
Like motivational speaking.
Yeah.
Or do like some counseling as far as like, in particularly with fatherless males who've grown up without their fathers in their lives. I mean, as young men, we go through so much. The psychological, the mental battle is so heavy of just things that go through your mind. Just being able to have an outlet, a safe outlet to where you can come sit down and talk to somebody, get that out, and also get some wise counsel as well. That's something that I could literally do every morning and then not feel like work. You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that I love to do.
That's really
wake
incredible.
Up and just impact somebody's life. Impact somebody's life in that particular realm or whatever. As far as just giving them an outlet to talk and say, "Hey, I've been where you are. I understand exactly what you're feeling. I understand those thoughts, those crazy thoughts. You're feeling like you're weird because I've been there. I get it. Let's rap. Let's go have some Starbucks coffee. Let's chop it up. Let's talk, and just try to impact their life."
Well, you know what? I really hope that you get that desire. You know what I mean? That you'll be able to travel and to speak and to speak into the lives of fatherless men. Are men who grew up without their dads or without a significant male influence, because it's so needed in this day and time. Yeah, and it's funny because the role of the father, I think, has been kind of diluted. The importance of a male presence and the importance of a father or a father figure in the lives of young men and women.
It's extremely important.
It's so important, and it's something that's been just diluted over time to make it almost seem like it's not important and guys aren't needed. And but then we see the end result of it.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So I really do hope you get that. I hope that desire is fulfilled.
I appreciate
that. Definitely. So to date, let's change topics a little bit, get to know you just a little bit more. To date, what is the most daring thing that you've done?
Probably skydiving.
Yeah.
My wife, she's my daredevil partner, and so things that I know ordinary people wouldn't do with us, I know I can count on her. She roll with me. But skydiving is one of the things where you want to learn how to really depend on God and just let go, let go and let God. And man, skydiving is that, because you're not in control. There's nothing you can do but just go with the flow and you have to just say, okay, well, hey, what happens, happens. But we're actually planning to go again soon. But skydiving, I eventually want to do bungee jumping, but the closest I came to that was Del Mar Fair, the little bungee cord there.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, it's okay. But I want to bungee jump like from a bridge or something like that, like a really high bridge. But skydiving is probably the most daring thing. Yeah.
Nice. I would have to say that one is definitely on my bucket list.
You should do it.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to do it. Like it's not as bad as you think. The hardest part is just getting in the plane and letting the plane take you up however many thousand feet that you're up there. That's probably the hardest part. Once you're falling, you're falling. You know
right.
What I mean? But it's just taking the initial step to say, okay, I'm gonna get in this plane and let them take me up. Because some people are like, why am I gonna jump out of a perfectly moving plane? But I don't know. I just kind of, we kind of live on the wild side sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
so did you guys do tandem or
we did tandem?
Okay.
Yeah, we did tandem.
Okay.
I would eventually like to do it by myself, but until then, you know, I think tandem is cool for me right now.
Right.
It's daring enough.
Okay. If there were a movie of your life, the David Dredden story, who would you want to play you?
That's a great question. I know he's not old enough now, but, you know, pending that he was old enough, I would love my son to play me.
Yeah.
I love the way Ice Cube's son played him in the movie. I'm not sure if you saw it. Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, okay.
It's a great movie, but his son, I don't think they could have found a better person to depict the character of Ice Cube than his son. Like, it was perfect. Almost like you were watching Ice Cube all over again. It was so. Like I said, I know he's still young, but you know, if given the opportunity one day, I would like my son to be that guy. I think that would be cool. Be dope.
Okay. So we're going to touch on the group a little bit later. This question, we're going to be a little bit selfish and make this question just for you. Where do you see yourself, you and your family? Where do you see the Dredden family in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see us operating, even though it's not necessarily, you know, you didn't ask about Undefeated. I still see us kind of somewhat playing a part in like the business side of Undefeated, so to speak.
Right.
I understand that with us, we're not going to be jumping up and dancing and doing cartwheels our whole life, but we're, you know, eventually plan to transition Undefeated into more of a business aspect to where we're, I like to call it businesses within a business. So you have multiple things going on within, up under the umbrella of the whole Undefeated movement. But I see us full-fledged working that whole vision. Everything from music lessons to cosmetology to you know, all arts and crafts, different things like that, after-school programs for kids, theater, acting, all those different things, all encompassed within the whole Undefeated movement. And so having my kids be able to grow up in that and having Undefeated be able to grow up in that, I see myself, like my thing has always been this, I want to be able to give back to the people who've given to me. And so I've had all these people rolling with me as far as Undefeated is concerned all these years. Like, it would be nice to say, hey, why not come work for the actual business side of Undefeated to where we can actually, you know, put some money back in your pockets and pay you for all these years that you've invested. And so 5 years, I see us doing that. I see us doing a lot of traveling as a family.
What country is on your I have to get there list?
I want to, I don't know if it's necessarily I have to get there. Well, it's not even a country that I want to get to, but I definitely want to go to, we've mentioned Italy. What else have we mentioned? We've mentioned China.
Okay. For the natural wonder or just for the culture? Or both?
I think both.
Okay.
Both. What else do we want to go? Yeah, I know those were the two that we've mentioned in particular. We're going back to Jamaica. I know that much.
Hey, Jamaica.
We're going back there. So yeah, doing a lot of traveling, vacationing. And who knows? I don't know. It's just we kind of just roll with the punches of, you know, kind of sporadic, so to speak. So
Okay.
who knows? I don't know. Who knows? We may be relocated. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I love San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to, if the right doors open up, to really push ministry and push our own personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a talk. We sit at the table and see. But until then, you know, San Diego's our home. But we've been open to just whatever God shall have for us. So.
All right. I'm liking that. Okay, guys, we have to take a break for commercial for station identification at the moment. We'll be back in studio with David Dredden of David Dredden and Undefeated. And when we get back, we are going to get to know him just a little bit more, talk about the Undefeated Project, and just hear some more words of wisdom from this up and coming young man. We'll be back in just a moment. All right.
You are listening to the San Diego station of inspiration. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KTAV Radio. For more information on how you can advertise your business, event, or services, please visit us online at ktav.tv or call 619-246-6131.
All right, we are back here in studio with David Dredden and of David Dredden and Undefeated, and we kind of did our getting to know you just a little bit with him. So we want to get into just this whole choir director, musician, singer. How long have you been playing musical instruments?
Seriously playing? Like for real?
Yeah.
Started playing at the age of 12 for church.
Okay.
Like my responsibility was to make sure that I was responsible for the music of the house. Was at the age of 12. My auntie had relocated. She was a church musician. She had moved to Atlanta, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the things where it was just like, okay, well, it's on you now. And so, my little 3-finger chords, I stepped up, and every song pretty much sounded the same. But just kept trucking through it. And so that was 12, and I'm 33 years old now. And so ever since then, just been going. So I was always tinkering around a little bit.
Right.
At a young age, but like seriously playing since the age of 12.
Okay. How many instruments do you play?
3. So drums, organ, piano.
Okay. What's the difference between an organ and a piano for all of us non-musically inclined people?
The sound, the sound, your approach.
Okay.
Just the nuances of it is definitely different. Pianos, sometimes people are a lot more choppier on the piano, whereas an organ you might be more so kind of lay like a bed of chords where you're kind of padding chords, different things like that. So it's just the approach is different. There are people who play or who approach playing the organ the same way they do the piano, but to get the best sound out of it, there's definitely your approach has to be a little different. So. Yeah, it's all in approach.
Okay.
As far as what kind of sound that you're looking for. Sometimes you can, pad on piano. Sometimes you can go chord on piano, but most times people do that with organ.
So for those of us who are not familiar with musical lingo, what does it mean to pad?
So kind of like laying in the bed, kind of like how can I say? I'm trying to think how I can. Yeah, kind of lay in the bed. I guess that's the best way to create like this bed. So you're not really doing a lot of chopping. You're not doing a lot of movements per se.
Okay.
It's just really kind of just, the movements are kind of just progressive. But whereas piano, you might have somebody who's kind of just up and down the keys doing whatever.
Gotcha.
Doing a lot of movements.
Okay.
Most times in the band setting, the organ is kind of, just kind of lay in the bed. But the presence is felt though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. That's really good. At what point did you realize that being a choir director was one of your gifts?
It was at a council, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It was, I don't know how many years ago, but we were doing we were having a council here in San Diego, and we were doing this song by Creflo Dollar's choir called Get Back Satan. And my mom was directing the song in rehearsals, but there was like certain parts on there that she would kind of miss. And I would be sitting in the rehearsal, and I'd be like, something's not right. And I was just like, nah, I think she missed something right here. And I would tell her in the rehearsal, I said, Mom, I think it's supposed to be this way. I think, you kind of did it wrong. And so she goes, well, then you direct it. And so in rehearsal, I actually directed it, not thinking she was going to really have me do it at the actual council.
Oh, wow.
Where everyone's in. So council comes, and they call the choir up, and she does like that. And so from that moment, it kind of like sparked the directing career, so to speak.
Right.
I'll always be at home directing in my mirror, doing stuff, but never to, for my first experience to be actually in front of hundreds of people at a big council, that was pretty big. And so from then on, I just started doing a lot more at my church, and then after that, it was history. That was history. It was just like I was considered a director here in the city, so that was pretty cool.
Okay, so who were the people who influenced and or mentored your development as a worship leader and a choir director?
As a choir director, definitely Eddie Bartrip.
Okay.
Eddie Bartrip, my uncle Danny Graham, definitely. My mother as a choir director, Brenda Wynn as a choir director. As far as praise and worship, I would have to say definitely my boy, Kyron Shorter. I used to watch and study his approach to praise and worship a lot. And these are just all locals. But they've had the biggest impact on me, even being local. I know a lot of times we like to esteem the big name people.
Right.
Because Tye Tribbett is somebody who definitely, I think, has had an effect on me. But I think there's a lot of locals who had an effect on me as well. And Kyron Shorter being one of those people. My cousin, Princess Mitchell, she was another one who I would watch her approach to praise and worship and try to just glean certain things from her. And so I would just take all these little different things that I would give from people and just package it up and just try to turn it into the, David Dredden's approach. And so these guys have definitely had, I would say, probably the biggest impact on me because I've worked with them in ministry. I've watched them.
Right.
I'm trying to take little things that they do, not necessarily copying everything they do, but the little things they do, their approach, and try to fuse it together to make my own little concoction, so to speak. So.
Yeah, I like that. So what did you glean from each one of them? So what did you glean from Eddie Bartrip? What did you glean from your mom?
I gleaned from Eddie his energy when he directs, very animated. And that's something that I love. That's something that I'm attracted to. I like that. So I try to take that from him. My uncle, his impromptu moves, like sometimes he'll flip a song, just impromptu, just change the whole thing. So I love that. I don't like everything always being so rigid to where you know what's coming next. We're gonna do this one. Like he'll flip it on you. So I have to be watching. For my mom, it was always the whole thing, choir 101. Watch me. She would always say that because sometimes you can get so caught on singing the song to where you close your eyes and you just go for it, and the director might feel led to go a different direction. But if you're not watching, you miss that. And so her biggest thing was her eyes would get really big. And she would say, watch me. I catch myself doing that, watch me. From Sister Brenda Wynn, her stick-to-itiveness. Sister Brenda Wynn is the epitome of consistency. Always being consistent. I feel like she's been that same way since I was a little boy, and even now, just seeing that she's still, just consistent. With Kyron, it was more so gauging the room for praise and worship. He was really good at gauging rooms. So. Understanding what's needed to kind of transition this room to the next level to where we can get in God's presence. So he was really good at just having a knack for understanding that, okay, right now we might not need to do this song. Right now I think I feel like God is flowing this way. So let's kind of change our setup. So he was really good with that. My cousin Prince, the same thing. Really good at just gauging the room and just finding ways to just flow, not necessarily how we have it on the paper, but saying, seeing, okay, God, well, what do you want? So I take all those little things and try to fuse it together, and it comes out with David Dredden. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I read a long time ago. It talks about, a disciple walking in their rabbi's footsteps. And one of the things, that the Jews believe is that the dust of the rabbi should kick up on you. And so when you were talking about, how often when we talk about people who have influenced us, most people will reach for, some national celebrity or, this person, some international or national celebrity. But I think the greatest impact sometimes are the people whose dust kind of like kick up on your life.
That's good. I'm going to steal that from you.
Go ahead. Well, it's not mine, so I bequeath it.
I like that.
So what are what's the best advice that you were given that you didn't heed?
Oh man. I'm learning now, and I think me and my wife were doing much of a better job now. But in my younger years, my mom would always say, when I was young, she'd always say, make sure you take care of your credit. Make sure you take care of your credit. And at the time I understood, I'm like, what's that? Until, you were young, you get all these credit cards and you go out and you splurge. My wife, same thing, get these credit cards and splurge. And then when you get older, you realize that, wow, okay, now I see what you were talking about. Like, she would say, like, literally, if you manage your credit, take care of your credit well, you can practically have just about anything that you want. And so I think that was probably the biggest piece of advice as a kid that I just totally, was one of those kids who, you're young, so, they're throwing all these things at you, you're taking it, in your mind you see it as, this is free money, this is loan money that you have to pay back. And so, I think like many other people, that's probably one of the hardest learned lessons.
Yeah.
Praise be to God for redemption and being able to have second chances and all that stuff.
Right.
Initially, it was just like, wow. So my thing is now when I'm training my kids up, I'm gonna make sure you take care of this, because this, can come back to bite you in the butt.
Right.
If you're not careful.
That's really sound advice. So talk to us about Undefeated. How did it get started, and how has it evolved along the way?
All right. So Undefeated started. I almost want to say Undefeated started on accident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a planned thing. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to go out and start this group Undefeated, and we're just going to go sing all over the place. We're going to come out with an album. I'm going to be the leader. It was nothing like that. The way the group actually started was more so, every year, Sister Paulette Anderson has this thing called the Teen Convention.
Right.
And we would always attend the teen conventions, and we'd be active. We'd sing in the choirs. This particular year, Sister Paulette, she sends word down to San Diego and says, hey, Brother David, I want you to galvanize a group of youth from the San Diego area, and I want you guys to actually come up to the teen convention and represent on behalf of the San Diego area.
Right.
So just grab your group of young people. I was just like, me? She was like, yeah, I want you to do it. And so we ended up, I ended up getting a group of people. Kyron was one of the first people I called. And at our first rehearsal, we had three people. I had three singers that rehearsed. I had a soprano, an alto, and a tenor. That was Kyron as my tenor, Sister Daylina Shepherd as my alto, and Sister Melanie Smith as my soprano. I had two musicians. I think I had three. I think I had two musicians, which was Adam on the drums, Renix on the keys. I think Ashley might have been on the organ. And we rehearsed. That was our first rehearsal. And I said, hey, we're going to try to add some more people because we really want to represent the San Diego area well.
Right.
So we're going to add some more. But this was it was a great rehearsal. The power of God fell like crazy with just us, us few. And then as time started to progress, more started to come out. Long story short, we went to the teen convention. The Lord blessed like crazy. It was amazing. So after that, it was like, okay, well, I thanked everyone. Thank you guys so much for helping me out. This was great. It was awesome. We'll see what happens again next year. But then some people started throwing out there, hey, I think that, we should continue this. Like, we shouldn't just stop, we should probably continue, maybe make it like a group thing. And because I had played for groups, I understood, all that goes into being a part of a group. And I was just like, I'm good. But they kept,
right.
saying, no, we should try it. I was just like, okay, well, let's pray on it and see. And I was like, God, if you really want this group to start, like, it has to be you, because I know the crap that goes on in groups, and it can be more than, it's a lot to carry. And I said, I don't want to be that guy. Prayed about it, and we continued to, people started hitting us up, saying, hey, we want you to do these particular engagements. We didn't even have a group name, so we would come up, and people would literally be like, okay, at this time, we're getting ready to call a group of young people up, you know what I mean? Or they start giving us praise, they start giving us names. We're going to call up, these guys are Radical for Christ. They're a radical group of young people, so we're going to call it Radical for Christ, or Youth for Christ, or just, they started throwing in because we had no name. We were just singing all these places, and they were like, what is your group name? We don't know, we're just singing. Right. We were just so passionate about just wanting to just minister and just be in God's presence, so that didn't even matter. Long story, to make my long story shorter, we said, okay, y'all, we got to come up with a group name. And so we said, okay, let's pray about it, let's fast about it. And Kevin Shorter comes in, and he says, hey, I was praying, and this is what God gave me. He said, you guys, through all that you guys have been through, you guys have been through ups, downs, all kinds of craziness, you guys are still yet here, you guys are still yet kicking. I see. He said, I think Undefeated would be a dope name for y'all. And we all kind of looked around, and we were like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. And
it just stuck with everybody. And from that moment on, we're like, okay, well, I think Undefeated is a great name, because people came up with some crazy names. Power Rangers for Christ. Dumb stuff. It was crazy. So it was just, it was crazy. So we said, okay, we're going to stick with Undefeated. And since then, my sister came up with Spontaneous for Christ. She said, because sometimes we're a praise team, sometimes we're a choir, we're just spontaneous. Just wherever God needs us to move, we just move. So we're spontaneous for Christ. And that's too much. So Undefeated is how we got our name. But so it was actually from Brother Kevin Shorter, who came to that rehearsal, and God gave him that name to give to us. And since then, we've been Undefeated.
That is awesome. Okay, we will be back in studio with David Dredden and the Power Rangers for Christ.
Power Rangers for Christ, yeah.
We'll be back in just a moment with David Dredden of Undefeated, and we're going to find out how the group has evolved over time, talk about Celebrate, and some other projects that they have coming up. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back here in studio with David Dredden of David Dredden and Undefeated. And when we left, he was talking to us about how the group started and how they got their name. And one of the things that stuck out to me was you actually didn't set out to start a group.
No.
But and you prayed the prayer. You're like, God, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
You know, and God has blessed you all to survive all these years. So how has Undefeated evolved from 3 people and 2 musicians to now, how many are in the group?
So now it's crazy. We've evolved to, I want to say we have 13 singers now, 14 singers. and 3-piece band, but we've had as many as 21 singers. You know what
Wow.
I mean? So we've kind of, you know, we fluctuate back and forth. But just touching on the undefeated part, I feel like that name was perfect because when you really start to like get serious about it and really think about it, the craziness that this ministry has gone through, everyone in their own individual lives, you know what I mean, and then even collectively as a group. I mean, we've experienced so much from death to, when I say death, I don't mean just like, you know, someone's grandmother dying, but I mean like extreme
Right.
death. You know, mothers losing babies, mothers miscarrying.
Wow.
You know, we've had several miscarriages in the group. We've had recently a mother who lost her baby after 33 days. You know, we've so much that's happened. People who lost dear loved ones. People who've gone through all kinds of financial craziness. Just, I mean, you name it. It's just so much without putting everyone's, you know, business out there. It's just to still be standing, to still be going strong, to still be, you know, having the mindset of still wanting to serve God, still wanting to minister to God's people, still wanting to minister to a hurting world. That name, Undefeated, I feel is best because at the end of the day, the enemy gave us his best shot and honestly thought that we would fold. But, you know, I mean, we took a hit. You know, I mean, we felt it. You know, we kind of skirmished a little bit, you know, but we didn't stay down. And I feel like that name is so fitting because I tell people all the time, as long as you continue to get back up, as long as you continue to keep going, as long as God is on your side, you shall remain undefeated. Sometimes we feel like if we fall, that's a defeat. That's not defeat.
Right.
And sometimes we feel like, oh, because we've fallen, man, I'm defeated. That's not defeat. The fact that you've gotten back up and you're still going, you're still undefeated. And
Right.
so that's just the true testament to this group. That name is a true testament to our lives as a whole individually, that we really are undefeated. So we've evolved from just having that little group, to we've got as big as 21, and then, you know, we fluctuate. That's part of ministry, but I praise God that we have such a solid foundation to where when we go through those moments where we're growing, or we go through those moments where we're, you know, we're kind of scaling back, the foundation has been so solid to where the ministry still continue to be able to move forward, to progress. Whereas a lot of ministries that have started back when we started, or they started after we started, they're not still going today.
Right.
But I believe that was because we had a really solid foundation to where we were able to withstand those moments where, hey, it's going to seem like, hey, you know what, we've got everybody, you know, joining, and it seems like we're just hitting everywhere. Then you have those moments where it seems like you can't buy an engagement. What do you do in those times? And I feel like God has matured us to the place of understanding that, you know, we go through these seasons, but not
Right.
to just give up and quit ministry because you're going through these seasons. So that's why I praise God, because I've got a great group of people who just understands that. And so I couldn't ask for a better group, or a better group of people who are just, you know, in love with God, but then just great people, you know, in their own right. Just great, just some good people. I'm blessed.
I think it goes back to the foundation, though, and it goes back to the beginning, and it really supports the scripture that says what God has built.
Exactly.
You know, when God is the one who has ordained something, and when God is the one that's built it, then regardless of the flood, regardless of the storms, regardless of the wind, regardless of whatever comes against it, it's kind of like, okay, you may knock off, you know, the awning, but the house still stands.
Still stands.
And so the ministry keeps going because this was something that God ordained. And that's one of the things that really stuck out to me, because it wasn't something that you necessarily sought after or wanted. And, you know, we're not, by no means do we want anyone to take anything away from this negatively. Because I think sometimes we have this mentality that if you want it, then that means it must not be God. And that's not always the case,
Right.
because he's the one that gives you the desire for good things. So, But I think for specifically dealing with this point, the fact that it was something that you were kind of like, you didn't set out to have a group. You didn't set out to have a name. You didn't set out to do those things. It was fulfilling the purpose for which God created.
Amen.
That you've been in that track, despite the hardships that have come up, the group has flourished. Right. Despite the things that have happened, the group has continued to prosper. And I mean, like you said, you guys took some hits.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I love the point that you brought out about what it means to be undefeated. And it's about faithfulness. Mm-hmm. Faithfulness is not about, I'm going to get everything perfect. I'm going to always feel like doing it.
Right.
It's even when it hurts, even when God doesn't move in the way that I think he should move, I'm still going to serve him because he's worthy of my service.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So it has been said, leading people is like herding cats. What are some of the things that you do to keep the dynamics of the group cohesive?
So when you say cohesive, in what context do you mean when you say cohesive?
What do you do to keep the group together? It's like, yeah, we come together and we worship and we sing and we praise God and we love God. But how do you keep the group to where when you're with Undefeated or when, you're watching you guys from a distance on the outside looking in and you see how you all interact with one another, you can tell that there's genuine love. You can tell that there's genuine...
When I say that Undefeated is literally like my second family, and in some cases like my first family, it's just that.
Right.
It's just that. We fight like family. We roll like family. We eat like family. We go out like family. We babysit everyone's kids like family. And so I think when you do that, it just creates a natural flow. Right. Kobe Bryant said something that was so key when Paul Gasol was traded to the Lakers. They were trying so hard to win the championship, and they kept missing. They missed it. Mm-hmm. And Kobe Bryant said it wasn't until he hit up his team member, Paul Gasol, and then hit up another team member, and then hit up another team member. Next thing you know, the rest of the team had been hit up and said, hey, I just want to meet you guys out at dinner. Let's go to such and such restaurant. I'm going to pay. Let's just go out and eat. And he said it was in that moment when they just hung out that when the off-the-court relationship got better, the on-the-court relationship was that much more intact and stronger. But it wasn't until they strengthened the off-the-court. And I feel like what people see with us on the court or on stage, so to speak, is just a representation of what happens off the court. So like it's nothing for somebody to send out a text in the group and say, hey, I'm hungry, let's all meet at BJ's, and we all show up to BJ's. Or I remember when the blackout, I'll never remember the blackout happened where all over San Diego, I hit up everybody and said, hey, we need to all be together because we don't know what's happening. So everyone met up. We were flying around San Diego trying to pick people up who couldn't get out or couldn't drive, whatever the case might have been. And we all met at my house, and everyone stayed there at my house that night. And we cracked some candles, and we pulled the grill out, and we made burgers, with having candles as a light. But it was just one of those moments where you made memories to where it's just like these are things you'll never forget. And it was all, instead of them going to their family's house, all Undefeated was at my house, and it was more so like we were all bonding together, saying, hey, we're gonna make it through this thing. Game night. Impromptu game nights. Right. This past rehearsal, instead of rehearsing, I told the group just come to rehearsal. We went and got refreshments, pizza, whatever. Instead of rehearsing, tonight we just need to get reacclimated with each other again. It's been a while. So we just said, okay, we're not going to do rehearsal. And we ended up just doing game night. And we just had a game night right there, rehearsal. It's things like that kind of help keep, ministry is great, but I feel like you have to have a balance. Right. It can't be all ministry, but it can't be all fun and games too. There has to be an even balance. And I think when you have that, it keeps the cohesion going. It keeps you tighter. It keeps you learning about people. Sometimes we try to do certain activities to where, okay, get out of your comfort zone. People who you normally don't always roll with, okay, you're going to sit with them, and we're going to kind of do some activities in which, we get a chance to learn about each other. When we go to DID, okay, you're not staying in the room with the person that you would normally stay with. Pick a number out, and we're going to stay with people who we normally wouldn't stay with. That way you're forced to kind of learn more about somebody that you normally wouldn't. Little things like that has kind of helped just make our bond really tight, really strong. Like I said, we fight like family too. We get mad, we get upset, we stop talking, Then we come back and we crying and asking for forgiveness, and it's really like, I call them my family. Because that's really what it's like. punches pulled at all, no gimmicks, no nothing. It's really like family, for real.
That's really, and it shows. It really does. It shows, and I really believe that genuine love. That's something you can't fake. Yeah, it's either sugar or sweet and low.
Right.
It's you know what I mean. It's not. there's no middle ground. It's either love is either real and it's genuine and palpable, or it's not and it's artificial. And when it is, you sense it either way.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I've observed about the group, and I know other people have observed about your group, so that's really incredible. You all have been blessed to share the stage with some of the biggest artists in the gospel music scene. How do you stay grounded? How does the group stay grounded? How do you stay grounded?
I think Pastor Frank used to always tell us this when we were attending the church. He used to always say, the way up in the kingdom is down. He would always say that. Meaning, like, you want to be exalted, you want to go higher. The world's way of doing that is kind of by, it's the crab in the barrel mentality where you're trying to pull down the next person to make it to the top. But he was saying in the kingdom, the way up is actually down. And so down meaning by humbling yourself, by standing on your face, by pushing others above yourself. I try to tell people a lot of times when we have a big engagement or something that we consider, to be really huge, right after we're done, I always have the group form up and we'll pray. Because I'll tell them, I say, hey, this was awesome. We had a great time. Like, for example, like a blood concert or something like that. The Lord comes through and blesses. I'll tell everybody, hey, this was awesome. This was great. We enjoyed it. But let's all pray because the enemy's mad now. Anytime something like this, a great exploit like this happens, he's waiting for the moment to try to come in, to try to wreak havoc and all those things. And so we need to make sure that we stay grounded by praying. Let's not get so caught up to the point where, I'm not saying not to celebrate. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm not one of those type of people who you can't celebrate accomplishments, but you always have to be mindful. And I think the best way we've stayed grounded is just by, staying in prayer, by understanding that just as fast as this platform is given, this platform can be taken.
Right.
We've gone through it. I think if we just mature to the level, we've matured to the level of going through it, of understanding that you have moments where you're hitting. You might be opening for John P. Key. You might be opening for Fred Hammond. You might be open. And then you're going to have some times where you're going to the little church down the street that have 12 people at the 3:30 service. Can you still be as passionate about ministry then? You know what
That's
I mean?
it.
So,
yeah.
And that's something that we've had to grow through that, because we've had times where everyone would show up. I mean, we opened up for Burrell. Everybody was there. And then we had to go down the street to one of our, local churches, and we couldn't buy a singer. Couldn't buy them. Everyone had something to do, and it's like, so we've gone through the ups and downs of trying to, I think now we're at a mature level to where we just understand that ministry is ministry either way. We still enjoy, the bigger stages, which is awesome because you get a chance to spread the gospel to a wider range of people. But we don't take anything away from the opportunity to be able to minister to people who may only have 20 members at their church or whatever. Somebody needs to be ministered to. And I think if ministry is the common denominator, then I think whether it's 2,000 people or 20 people, you're still just as passionate about ministry either way. If ministry is the common denominator. And so I feel with us, we've transitioned now to a level where it really is about ministry. So that's why the Lord has blessed us to still be going and stay humble. We're not one of those groups who feel like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, we're not a cocky group at all.
Right.
Very loving, we've never been that type of group, at all. I've never been that kind of person who's just, it's all about me. It's the David show.
Right.
Because of that, God has blessed us.
That's really awesome. That's really, really awesome. With so much to be said, but I am 3 minutes over. I'm doing so badly on time today. My gold star has been taken away. So we're going to take a break for station identification. We'll be back in just a moment.
Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's show? Would you like to share your testimony or any constructive critiques? Would you like to know how to be a guest on The Simone Edwards Show? Please feel free to email us at thesimoneedwardsshow@gmail.com. We are also available on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Be sure to follow us to receive updates regarding the show and our other ministries.
All right, we are back here in studio for the final part of our interview with David Dredden of David Dredden and Undefeated. We've thoroughly enjoyed having you here in studio with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's been our pleasure. So we want to say once again, congratulations on the release of your freshman album, Celebrate. Now, here's the thing that's funny is I had you guys in my playlist, like Tried in the Fire. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that is the anthem of my life. Yeah. That song is the anthem of my life.
Shout out to Karen Schroeder.
Yeah, no, seriously. And, Karen, I try to sing like you from time to time. But, so because I've been listening to you guys over the years, it didn't really dawn on me that, wait, no, this is a freshman album because there were so many singles. There were like 3 singles prior to the release of the album. So take us on the journey. What was it like from conception to birth? Because you said you've had this monkey on your back for
years.
Yeah.
Since we started with Tried in the Fire was written. When did we do Tried in the Fire? That was back in like 2010, maybe 2009.
Okay.
Something like that. Maybe even earlier than that. It was more so like 2008, somewhere around there. It was a long time ago. Just to show you how long this monkey's been on our back. And I was sitting down at the church messing with some sounds on my keyboard, and Kyron had came in. And I was working on this song. Pastor Archie Robinson had preached this message called To Die. Mm-hmm. And I started trying to work on, like, maybe it was such a powerful message that, I said, I'm going to try to put something to it, so I started messing with some keys or whatever. Long story short, this was before rehearsal. And Kyron Shorty comes in, and so I'm just kind of messing with sounds and pressing all kinds of buttons and, all these weird sounds, high sounds, low sounds. But I came upon a couple sounds, I guess, that sounded great, or at least to Kyron, it was kind of like one of those things where you know how you can have a paintbrush and you just throw paint on the wall, and to us it might be like that's just paint on the wall, but to somebody who has an eye, it's just like, oh my God, that's a magnificent art. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it was. I was just pressing buttons, but to Kyron it was kind of like, yo, that was dope. Do that again. So what? I don't know what I did, but I'll try it again. And we just kind of started messing with some things, and out of that, you kind of got a groove going, and he kind of started throwing some lyrics to it. And we came up with trying to. We sat with the group. Some of the group members kind of, chimed in some things and kind of gave some input. And from there, you had, came out with Tried in the Fire. It was a little rough. We would literally go places, and I would bring that whole keyboard with me just because that was the only way I knew how to play the song was by pressing those little buttons. So we'd go to teen conventions and we would take the whole keyboard with us, and we're instead of a whole band playing, it's just me over there with the drummer pressing the buttons. And that was the way we kind of got down until we had a band that was able to do it for us. So that's how Tried in the Fire started. And so this has been a long road. We came out with our EP album, which He Can Do It, Tried in the Fire, and I Love the Lord, which was arranged by my good friend Cullen Reed, call him Lou. And from there on, we just kind of the Lord blessed us with Brother Chris Daniels, who's an outstanding music director, outstanding musician, great brother, and the song "Celebrate" came about because he had created some music a couple years before, and we were trying to put lyrics to it, but it just seemed like the way it was created was just hard to kind of put something to that beginning part. Long story short, he goes back and he kind of reconstruct some things, and he comes back and says, hey, I kind of changed the song up a little bit. This is what I came up with. And it was just like, it sounded like a breath of fresh air. It was just like, wow, that just sounds, it's just like a refreshing sound. And so he ended up giving this song to his sister-in-law, Miriam, and she put some lyrics to the beginning part. And she took the old school song, Love Lifted Me. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. And then she went into that Love Lifted Me and was like, oh man, I think we got a hit. I think we got a hit. And so that we got all the way up to the Celebrate, set me free. And then after that we were stuck. It was like, okay, well, this is a good hit, but now we need to close the song off. And to my surprise, Chris Daniels steps up to the plate, and he created the last part of Celebrate. He actually created the Celebrate, Love Lifted Me, Love Lifted Me, Love Lifted, Celebrate, all that stuff. that was Chris Daniels, and I was really proud of him and surprised because he was like, man, I think I got it. He said, it just hit me. He said, when it hits me, I got to do it right away while I'm thinking about it. And so that's how Celebrate kind of came into the mix. So him and his sister-in-law kind of co-wrote that song. And all of a sudden, we had Sister Candace come, and she did a great job with the lead. We were thinking, man, how can we get like a Dorinda Clark, or how can we get like a Leandria Johnson to come and just smash the song? But it was like, we got people right here in the group who are capable of doing it. And Candace did a bang-up job on it. And that's how Celebrate came about. And then Miriam, his sister-in-law, she also wrote a few other songs for us. Like You Are My Hope. She wrote No Turning Back. She wrote Undefeated for us, the song Undefeated. So we have some great writers, along with Emerald, who's a great songwriter. Kyron, of course, as we mentioned before. Candace wrote our first song on the album, It Belongs to You, was written by Candace, and music was put together by her husband, Noah. My Faith Is in You, my brother, B. McCargo. So the Lord just blessed us with a good group of people who have some really lyrically sound songs with substance, you know what I mean? Not just cat in the hat type songs. And so we came together. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting any other songs. I think that's the majority of all of them. Of course, I said He Can Do in Trying to Fire. And we came together and put them together, and that we have the Undefeated project.
Wow. It sounds like, listening to it, it sounds like, oh, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and that just kind of all fell like, but we know that's not how life goes. So
it was a lot. It was a lot, from studio to trying to record, trying to get sounds right. We've recorded that album probably about 3 times.
Really?
The whole thing. We did a pre-recording before our live recording. We did our live recording, which wasn't done correctly. So we had to go back and try to redo it again. So we ended up redoing it all over again the 3rd time to come out with what we have now. So in the course of that couple years, we had recorded 3 different times the whole album. So it was quite extensive, quite overwhelming, but it's here now, and I'm excited, and it's blessing people all over the country, and so that really was the goal. It wasn't to make $100 million off of it or anything like that. Now, if that came, then I'm not
right.
I'm not shunning it away, but I really want to have something that can that would just bless people. And the way I know that it's doing what I asked God for it to do is because someone texted me this morning out of the blue and said, "Hey, I just want you to know that this particular song gets me through my tough times." And it was song number 1, It Belongs to You. They were saying, I'm out here in school right now. This is new for me, being out here in a new state, away from family. But I know that even though I'm going through these rough times, God's still going to get the glory out of everything I'm going through. That all the glory ultimately still belongs to God. And so I just want to thank you and Undefeated for this album, because I want you to know it's blessing people. So that right there is, to me, God's way of confirming that the album went out to do what it was supposed to do. And so from time to time, I'll get inboxes. I got inboxes from people from a year ago that I didn't even check until just like a couple weeks ago, that I didn't even know that I had, or people just saying how they were blessed by the album and different songs I wanted that just really just hit me like, whoa, how did I miss these messages? I just happened to be going through all my old Facebook messages and came across those messages. And so that lets me know that it went out to do what it's supposed to do, and that's really just encourage the body, lift the body up. It's an album in which literally there's a song for any stage of life that you're in. Whether you're going through, you need a pull me out song. You have songs that you can go to, and if it's a song where you're celebratory, you kind of just want to just cruise down the street celebrating, we got songs for that. You know what I mean? If it's more, you want to go more of the deep worship side, we have songs for that. I feel like we have songs that kind of just hit you in whatever state of life that you're in. So my prayer is that God lay it on somebody's heart who has the influence that we need to really help this thing go to the masses the way we really want it to really spread, not only here in the country, but to other countries or far off. It's really my desire for this thing to just spread like wildfire and just hit. So we're believing God for that.
Yeah. Well, we're believing God with you. We definitely are. So let's close out really quick with, you've been doing this for over a decade now, right? What advice do you have for upcoming choir directors, what advice do you have for people who are over here and they're looking at Undefeated and they see the shine? Because, right, the glory of God is attractive. The glory of, the glory of God is, whoo, if it could be bottled, the glory of God is incredibly attractive, and so people see God's glory resting on you. They see the glory in that moment, but they don't see all the behind-the-scenes stuff that the group goes through, the losses that they've endured, whether it's financial or loved ones. Or what advice do you have for people who are kind of like, I want to be where you are, and I want to do what you do?
My advice would be to, if there's somebody that you aspire to be like, or you see what they're doing, and you want to somewhat pattern your ministry after that, I strongly encourage you to go to whoever that person is and say, hey, do you mind if we go out and have a cup of coffee?
Right.
And ask them, what are some of the hardships you had to endure? Like, it's really that simple. It's just going and just asking some questions. I would love to I understand, I see the level of accomplishments you guys have acquired, but I understand that didn't come overnight. What are some of the challenges? And just sit and just pick their brain. That's probably the best way to go about it, because like you said, from this side looking over, it does look like it's a bed of roses or it's a bed of ease. But if I would sit and tell you, like, I mean, the depressing, all the depressing roller coasters that you're on. I mean, just from just being one moment, like literally after ministering to people and praying them through and lifting them up. Right. The moment you leave that engagement and hit your car ride home, like, you know, dealing with depression spells and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's crazy. So it's not. So my thing is just talk to them. Yeah. I would give them the advice. I would give them the advice to just, you know, pick their brain, because you'll find out a lot of things that I think after talking to people, that make you think twice about, do I really want to, is this the road that I really want to go on? Is this the road that I really want to pursue? A lot of things, I don't know. I think a lot of things, had I known ahead of time, I often wonder, would I have continued down this same road knowing what I know now? I think that if you talk to somebody, it can definitely help you understand or know what to look out for. What are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the things that might come to try to, to try to steer me away? Like, understanding that in ministry, you're going to have moments where, honestly, being a group director to me feels like it's like a microcosm of being a pastor, because you're really looking over, you know, this group of people, and so you go through the ups and downs of keeping a people together, of keeping the people encouraged, encouraging people when you're not encouraged yourself. Right. The financial side of things, you know what I mean? When no one, when you're having to fund majority of the stuff out of your own pocket. A lot of these concerts that you throw is going to come out of your own pocket. Like, all this stuff is, you know, all these things that you go through. Like literally, blood concerts, I can't tell you how much money has come out of my pocket. This album that we paid for, I can't tell you how much of this came out of my own personal pocket, but that's just a part of ministry. It's an investment in yourself. And so that's why I would encourage every young director to understand that you're going to give a lot of money. You're going to have a lot of up and down days. You're going to have days in which you feel like giving up, but you have to encourage your people to keep on going. But on the flip side of things, it is rewarding. It's very rewarding to know that you've affected so many people. It is rewarding to know that you're walking in the calling that God has called you to do. So it's give and take. But that would be my advice to anybody who aspires to be like, sit down and have a cup of coffee. Just say, hey, I would like to pick your brain. What are some of the ups and downs? What are some of the things I have to look forward for? What are some of the things that I should look out for? And I think that would better equip them on this journey, for sure.
I absolutely love that. And it's funny because a lot of times we don't talk about that. You know what I mean? When we talk about ministry, or we think we're giving advice, because we don't want to appear negative, right? Whatever that means. So they're my air quotes. We don't want to appear negative. We don't give them the reality that comes with ministry. And a lot of times not giving the reality that comes with ministry can handicap them for what they're going to face down the road, because it's like you said, you're going to have those highs where, you know what I mean, God uses you and you do something incredible. Right. And it's kind of like, it's a cycle, because right after you're done, whether you're prayed up or not, the attack is going to come.
It's real.
And it's going to come when you least expect it.
So
and a lot of times we don't tell people that. No, you're going to get attacked. And it's going to, and when you have a real enemy and he's going to hit you in the place of your weakness, and he's going to hit you hard, and you're going to get knocked down, but because God is in you, he's going to give you the strength to get back up, and you're going to keep going. You don't give up every time you fall. You know what I mean? You don't give up every time it comes crashing down on you. You have the moment, and then you move forward. And I think because sometimes we shortchange one another because we don't talk about the reality of ministry. And and here's what's funny. Here's what the Lord just downloaded. He did it in his word. He said, count the cost. If you're going to serve me, you got to count the cost.
So true.
I don't have a bed. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to go through if you serve me.
So true.
And so I love that you said that for the, up and coming directors and ministers. So we are definitely over time, but we wanted to make sure that we gave you the full hour today because the glitch was on our end. And so how, for the person who's listening now and for the ones who will listen in the future when the video goes to our YouTube page, how do they buy the album? How do they get in contact with you?
Cool, easy. So we're on every social media site. We're on digital stores. So we're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on Amazon. And you can just type in David Dredden Undefeated. The album is entitled Celebrate. And if you go there, you can get it that way. Or you can, if you're friends with us, you can follow us on at the David Dredden Undefeated Facebook page as well. Or we are Undefeated on Facebook. And if you want an actual hard copy, you can message us and we can actually mail that out to you. We will set up a PayPal in which you can submit your payment, and we'll actually mail that out to you. So all the digital sites, and then if you want a hard copy, of course, social media, and we'll get that to you. So get it. It's a real great album.
Seriously, it's an amazing album. You definitely need to get it. So we want to thank David, and he is a representative of Undefeated. We want to definitely thank you for coming out today and having this interview with us.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
It is awesome. You are more than welcome, and we will have the video up of this interview in about a week, perhaps before then. If you are here in the San Diego area and you are looking for a church home, we want to invite you to come on out to Perfecting Grace. We have church every Sunday at 9 a.m. Bible studies Thursdays at 7 p.m. We are located at 3142 East Plaza Boulevard in National City, California. You can also find us on the web at www.perfectinggrace.net. Thank you so much for spending time with us. We will see you soon. See you next week. Have a great rest of your Saturday. This is David Dredden of David Dredden of let me try that again.
Power Rangers.
This is this is David Dredden of David Dredden and Undefeated. Remember that name. Remember this young man. God has great things in store for him. You will definitely be hearing this name in the future. We'll see you next time on the Simone Edwards Show. Bye.